Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the R&B Show. My name is Bruce Colon. Thank you so much for joining me today. So for this weekend's video, I just wanted to do a real quick recap of some album recommendations. These have actually been accumulating for me since like last fall of like veteran artists that we all love who have actually been putting out some very strong new material. And I do have to give a nod to my buddy Michael Noland over at the Bottom Line channel. Excellent channel if you haven't had a chance to check it out yet. He's been doing a great job of covering a lot of these veteran artists and their newer albums like Jethro Tull, Metallica, Yes. And for all of you old school Yes fans, I think Mirror to the Sky is something that you might actually get some enjoyment out of because it definitely harkens back to sort of that golden period of Yes in the early to mid 70s. Depending again how open you are to the newest configuration of Yes, but there's a lot of good music on that album for sure. So I'm going to throw out my list of recommendations of recent albums. And actually, the first one starts from last fall, and that was the new Bush album, which is called The Art of Survival. Now, Bush is a band that, initially they got a lot of stick for sort of being Nirvana clones in a way or jumping on the grunge bandwagon. But by the time of their third album, The Science of Things, they actually started to find their own groove. That album was a nice mixture of, again, the aggressive guitar rock, but also with electronic textures and rhythms. So I feel like they found a fresh original approach on that album. With this new album, it rocks. It's a heavy rock album, but also with the final song, A Thousand Years, it does harken back a bit to that Science of Things. And on the new deluxe version, there's a version of that song where Amy Lee sings along with Gavin Rossdale on it. So that could be a good entry point for those of you willing to check it out. Another album on the rock front would be Metallica's 72 Seasons. I give Metallica a lot of credit for remaining this creative at this stage of the game. They could have easily just done an anniversary tour of the Black Album and rode that for many years. But these guys have continued to put out new music. They've stayed creative, and this is a very, very strong album. As my buddy Michael Nolan has pointed out, the lyrics really do dig deep. Obviously, James Hetfield has gone through his share of difficult life experiences, and they all reflect well on the album. And this also is an album that will play well in their current concert tour. Finally, and this is much more recent on the rock front, is the Boston band Extreme and their new album Six, because it's their sixth album. And I do have to say again, this was another pleasant surprise. Very, very strong rock album, but it's also everything that they have always done well, right? There's the echoes of Van Halen in there, but also in the vocal harmonies, you have Queen and the Beatles, touches of that. Gary Sharon singing as strong or better than ever. And I think everyone has seen like the Rise video and heard the track that went viral with Nuno Betancourt's incredible solo. Nuno's always been one of the greats, and it seems like he is the one who is the inheritor of the throne. I know a lot of people, would be like, hey, who can ever replace Eddie? And no one can ever replace Eddie Van Halen. But as far as someone to sort of fill that void, Nuno is the guy, because even though we still have guys like Steve Vai and Yngwie Malmsteen around, Nuno is in a band setting doing songs. And in this album, this is actually one of their strongest albums out of their entire catalog. Again, so that's saying a lot for a veteran act such as Extreme. On the pop front, earlier this year, we had the release of Memento Mori from Depeche Mode. And while this is not like rock, this has always been more electronic stuff. And even though Depeche Mode have never sort of been a huge personal favorite of mine, my brother is a huge Depeche Mode fan. And as a matter of fact, he asked me to go with him to their latest concert. So my first time seeing them. I've always been kind of a casual fan. And of course, Violator, great album and great songs here and there. This is a strong addition to their catalog, and the title actually translates to Remember You Must Die, which fits in with their sort of darkly philosophical approach throughout all of their body of work. But really, really solid, and I think most Depeche Mode fans will get a lot out of it. Another one, which is very recent as well, and a huge personal favorite, is Noel Gallagher's Council Skies. And I think if you're a fan of Oasis, you're going to get a lot out of this album. You know, even though Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, he's been doing a lot of great work, you know, ever since leaving Oasis. For some fans, you know, especially with the last album, Who Built the Moon, which was more electronic textures and electronic rhythms and things like that, they're wanting more of that classic Oasis sound. And I feel like Noel Gallagher heard them. On this album, you definitely get more of the acoustic based and guitar based tracks, and also sort of the anthemic ballads. I mean, as a matter of fact, one song called Dead to the World is easily one of the best songs that he has ever written. So I think this is an album that if Noel and Liam had ever managed to work out the differences, a lot of these tracks would have made great new Oasis songs. But as it stands, for me, it's actually the best Noel Gallagher album since going solo. So those are just a few albums that I wanted to throw out there. And again, as I mentioned with Michael Nolan, I'm definitely in agreement on a lot of the albums that he's been putting forth. The Jethro Tull album, interesting in the sense that obviously, even though you know, Ian's singing is a lot more mature in parts, there are some songs on that album where it actually sounds more like his younger self as well. But we also have a lot of new albums coming out pretty soon from our veteran artists. Speaking of, you know, the Gallagher brothers, Liam Gallagher will have a new live album dropping from his mega concerts last year at Nebworth. We're going to have a new album from Rick Springfield on the pop front, and he's been writing a string of really strong studio albums as well. And also later in the fall, we're going to have a new album, I.O., from Peter Gabriel. And judging by the new tracks that he's been dropping for every full moon, this should be one of his stronger albums in recent memory. It looks like it's shaping up to be something that I think old school and new school fans both will enjoy. But we'll see on that. But anyway, just wanted to share some of those recommendations, some new old music that I'm getting excited by. You know, these veteran artists are actually killing it lately. So that's always a pleasant surprise and always very inspiring for those of us who want to keep our creativity moving forward. So, but anyway, if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel and checking out a lot of our other classic rock content as well. A lot of great stuff on there to check out. And share your opinions on some of these albums or some of the ones that you're anticipating coming up. Let us know what you're most excited about in the near future. And anyway, all of you, please take care, stay safe, and we will see all of you again very, very soon, okay? Peace.